had proactively gone after Orlando Anderson. They had a past. 2Pac and Biggie, and I think both of these fellows were killed in some sort of far more Biggie than 2Pac. Diddy's supposed association in Shocker's troublesome death has for quite some time been the discussion of the town. Big names like 50 Cent never avoid dropping clues, and indeed, even Eminem's verses from years gone by suggest it. With the recent capture of KD, a potential association looms bigger than at any other time. However, the substantial proof is scant. Where were you in your profession? West you up? No place, totally no place anyway. When you toss Ice Cube in with the general mishmash, things heat up quickly. Generally, Cube and Diddy's relationship hasn't been all daylight and rainbows. The two hip-hop investors have had their reasonable part of conflicts, and afterward the thing with Awful Kid in Death Row, it sort of took it over the top. A few insiders recommend that Cube has been sitting tight for a second to use data he may have on Puffy, remembering their past experiences. Cube comments, I met Puffy when he was still important for Advanced Underground. We had a cool brotherhood then. At that point, however, times change with Keith DD near the very edge of preliminary and the investigators piecing together the riddle. Diddy, instead of looking stressed, is profound into his most recent music project with Tiana Taylor. It's astounding how, in spite of being encircled by discussions from his dealings with the Locks to the manner in which he oversaw Donady Kane, Diddy keeps on exploring above everything. Anyway, this time with Ice Cube's presence creating a considerable shaded area. Things probably won't be so direct for Diddy. Can Cube deliver the carefully guarded secrets? And with Diddy's billion-dollar heritage in question, how might this epic showdown work out? That propensity of hostility that was developing blow as far as possible up and look like it was a coral. Ice Cube, a name that reverberates with the force of a tempest, has forever been something other than a craftsman. His process set apart by an unflinching resolve, and his voice mirroring the crude bits of inside of the roads have hardened his place as a vanguard in hip jump conceived. Osha Jackson. Cube adventure is one of imaginative trustworthiness, proud truth-telling, and persevere against chances that appeared unrealistic. Hip bounce has had its fair portion of major advantages. However, Ice Cube stands apart. His process started as a part of the massively effective NWA, where his steady stream turned into a hip jump staple. However, it was his performance vocation in the mid-1990s that displayed a craftsman in an exceptional innovative streak, birthing probably the most powerful hip bounce heard. We needed to sort of cut our own path, 'cause doing impersonation of what they were doing wasn't working for us fledglings. Work with NWA brought criminal rap to the standard and enhanced the voices of the abused in Dark America. In 1989, Cube told ABC's Andrew Al, essentially the conflict on substances in Los Angeles has turned into a battle on individuals of color. This was more than music, it was a clarion call, a mirror held up to society's injustices. Offspring's courageous genuineness, his eagerness to talk truth to control was apparent from the start, and on the off chance that we recently become neighborhood stars, that is sufficient. That is superior to what that is. Better than whatever we are presently, you know. So at the point when NWA delivered the questionable police, it was fledglings expect to bring regard for their message, to rise above the provocative title and contact the hearts and brains of audience members. I need individuals to focus on the melody and ponder what's happening, he said. This melody, like large numbers of fledglings' works, was prophetic. Anything you needed to realize about the mob was in the records. Before the mob, he reflected, in 1992, Offspring's takeoff from NWA was a vital second in his vocation and in the classification of gangsta rap parting ways with. NWA was the best choice of my life, he admitted to Energy magazine in 2002 with just $32,000 in sovereignties from the gigantic progress of Straight Out of Compton. Welp's flight was so a lot about self-confidence as it was about monetary reasonableness. His performance debut, America's Most Needed, was an achievement. Cooperating with East Coast makers, the Bomb Crew, Cube manufactured a collection that remains as a hip jump exemplary. He came to our spot with 8 synthesis books, brimming with rhymes and verses and tunes and thoughts. Reviewed Keith Shockley, this collection wasn't simply a demonstration of fledgling's melodious ability, it was a scaffold between coasts, between societies. Once we did that, that is, when we got our specialty, everyone truly began to focus. However, Offspring's way wasn't without debate. His unfiltered language and crude articulation drew from many quarters the obscenity, the displeasure, the unvarnished truth in his verses were stunning for the times. Cube's reaction to his fault finders was generally direct. The language of the roads is the main language I can use to speak with the roads, he told Angela Davis in 1991. Offspring's work frequently carried cultural strain to the fore, as found in his 1991 collection. Passing endorsement melodies like Dark Korea and D. Vazel were dangerous, accusatory, and proudly legit. These tracks ignited shock and were blamed for instigating savagery, yet they were impressions of the hours of the obvious outrage and disappointment inside the local area, yet it was a propensity in the business of individuals who, felt that our records was as well hard. Conversely, Cube's The Hunters collection, particularly the hit It Was a Decent Day, showed an alternate side of him. It was a snapshot of appreciation and acknowledgement of the great in the midst of the battle I was in. A decent mood, Cube reflected in 2005. This tune was a festival, a brief respite in a story frequently set apart by difficulty as we mull over the approaching conflict among Diddy and Ice Cube. It's clear that Cube's process has been one of furious uprightness and persevering truth-telling. His way through the world of hip bounce has been set apart by intense proclamations, questionable stands, and an unwavering obligation to his specialty and his local area. He's never been terrified to say his brain, never been terrified to tell it as it is in reality, as we know it, where shadows frequently